Hey, coaches, welcome to Championship Culture. Got a special guest today. Sean Pender is an old friend of mine. I actually met Sean. Sean was an elite football player at Valdosta State when I was a GA. So I met him when we were both youngins. He is the head football coach at Brunswick High School in Georgia. And honestly, this is why I contacted Sean. Sean's been at multiple places, been successful at multiple places, but the one thing that really got my attention is I had another friend that followed him at a place that Sean left. And I remember him telling me that he was amazed that everyone there, even though Sean had left and gone to another school, everyone there, the players, the coaches that were still on staff, the teachers, everybody loved him, worshiped him, even though he'd left. And I had the experience before. I've been places where I built strong relationships and then left for a bigger job, and it hurt their feelings and they were mad at me. But here they all love Sean. So that got my curiosity. And then me and Sean talked on the phone yesterday, and he is right in the middle of a deep dive on leadership and character ed and staff development. So everything's timing up just perfect. So Sean, thanks for being on this thing, man. And I'm going to take you through these 5 questions. And man, I just want you to talk because I know how passionate you are about some of these topics. So let's start off with probably the hardest question, the 1-minute introduction.
Well, Joe, first of all, thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed our conversation the other day. It's been a long time since you and I talked. It's glad to see an old friend. Someone I used to look up to too. Now, when I first got started in this business, you were already successful coach in Dooley County, and I was just learning, get my feet wet. And, I would search to you for a lot of things. So this is awesome for you to come back and talk to me about things where my career has been and where we're going and all that. So thank you for this opportunity. The who am I story, the elevator ride, right? Well, right now I'm the head coach at Brunswick, just like we talked about. But just growing up, I lived most of my childhood. I was down in Miramar, Florida, which, if you don't know where that's, on the outskirts of Miami. It was a very multicultural area. So that's kind of where I started off. I'm an only child by birth. Now, we were never alone. My parents always brought in either a troubled family member would come and live with us, stay with us, or something. I had cousins that stayed with us, I had aunts that stayed with us that had issues and needed to get back on their feet. That's what the type of parents that I had. There was always given. And a lot of times it was other kids in the community would come and gather in our house, and we would have a good time. My dad was like a rec football coach. So where we were in a middle class neighborhood, and we played at this park, and on the other side of the park was just people that just didn't have the same amount of opportunity that you had on the other side of the park. And a lot of project housing and stuff like that. But a lot of the kids that I grew up playing ball with and goofing off with at the park, my dad was real strict. My parents were real strict about who I hung out with, who my associates were. But I could hang out with whoever if I brought them to the house. So we'd go to the house, we'd go swimming in the pool and all that. And even though my dad was real strict, even with some of the guys that I bring over that didn't have any parents or whatnot at home, they all loved the attention that my parents gave them because they cared about them. And I brought that into just into my philosophies and whatnot. So as a young child, I learned real early how important it was to understand that people that you dealt with, that they know that you care about. And that old saying, it goes back, I heard it when I was a player, and I've been preaching since I was a coach. No one cares about what you know until they know that you care about. I mean, and that's something that we really, like, from the depths of my soul, we were taught that when I was younger. So that is something that I always carried with me, and I think that's the basis, the foundation for what we're doing now with this cultural development and this character development.
That's awesome, man. I really didn't remember you were from down there. I grew up in Miami. I didn't remember you were a Florida boy.
Yeah,
Uh,
I grew up. I was down there, and then I moved to Jacksonville. Now you might have heard, Jacksonville. If you look at
I think that's what I would remember. Was
yeah, my
Jacksonville.
family was mainly from Jacksonville, but we lived in Miramar until I was 15. And then my sophomore year, we moved up to Robert E. Lee High School in Jacksonville, Florida. So that was my high school days.
I was similar. We moved out of Miami when I was in the 7th grade, and we moved to South Georgia, Quitman, Georgia. So same kind of, a little bit of a
Brooks
culture shock.
County.
All right. Number two, what is your definition of culture?
Um, this could be very long, but I'm gonna cut it real short. We have a little saying here in Brunswick, and it's like a little hashtag, all about the family. All right. All about the family. All members of our team will play a vital role. And our family is going to have a championship mindset, and it's not just in football, but it's in life. That the way that we go about, we're going to have a very clear vision about what we want to do, and everyone is going to be drinking the same Kool-Aid,
I love that. All about the family. That's
Joe. Yeah,
perfect.
all about and yeah, and one of my staff members, we're having a meeting, and we're trying to come up with something that was signifying of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. And one of my staff members, Brian Edwards, we are all about the family. And I looked at them, I said, that's it. So they did hashtag all about the family. It's on our shirts, it's on our walls. It's something that we're trying to do.
I'm going to steal that one. All right. Number three, what are the three best things you do to build culture in your program?
I got this, 1, 2, and 3, but it's not like the number one's the best. It's just three of the things that we talk about. It's our BHS leadership program that we do. I have a 0 block period, and in our 0 block period, we do a training manual. When I first got to Brunswick in 2017, I noticed we had a tremendous amount of athletes, but with those athletes, the thing that I had said, we were selfish. We underachieved. We lost in the first round of the playoffs with a team that I really felt had the talent to be a team that could really make a run for the state. And when we went up against a team, Northside Warner Robins, who understood what it took to win and done it on a consistent basis and was always in the playoffs and always making runs that went deep and winning championships. We weren't doing that, and Brunswick hasn't been doing that. And several years before I got here, Brunswick hasn't made the playoffs. Well, first year here, we made the playoffs, and we had a real good season, but we won because of talent. We didn't win because we played as a team. And when we went against a team that was talented or just as talented as us, we lost. We lost right there at the end of the ball game. It was a poor judgment call. It was a poor mistake that our players made right before halftime and right at the end of the game, which cost us. And so we knew as a staff that we had a lot of cultural things that we had to fix, and we had to change some mindsets. So we decided to develop the 0 block, and the 0 block is not just teaching football. We do teach football, but in that 0 block, we try to develop 3 things. And you might remember some of these 3 things, Joe. I borrow from so many people, whatnot, but these 3 things here, we develop you spiritually, we develop you mentally, and we develop you physically. All right, all of them are just as important as the other. When we talk about developing you mentally, we're just talking about, teaching you the game and understanding how to watch film and the understanding and the base concepts of what we're trying to accomplish. Physically, we know that that's getting your body ready through the conditioning and the programming and the way we practice and the organization and the tempo and all that. But the spiritually, Joe, and a lot of people miss this part. It is we cultivate passion. All right. I want our coaches, when you go out there and you have that energy out there, that energy has to be genuine to do it. So you got to dig it up as a coach. We put it on ourselves. It starts with me, but our coaching staff, I want our coaching staff to generally have that passion for what they're doing out there with those boys. Nothing else exists, Joe. when we step into the field house, when we step into our meetings, when we step on the field, nothing else exists except our family. We are taking care of our family and what we got to do. And that is, so we take all of our problems, we hang them outside. If our players are having problems with a teacher, a friend, a girlfriend, leave it out there. Let's go over here to this football complex and use this as our escape. All right. So that's something that we do. So we do this. Number one, we have this leadership program, and it gives us the tools. You know, we go over words like trust, enthusiasm, mental toughness, passion, pride, unselfishness, confidence, competitiveness, all this different. And I got that from the military when they're looking to develop leaders. So we're giving them tools that they need. And then the second thing, we give coaches and players both ownership in our program. It allows for better buy-in. And then that leadership also gives you the support you need and the passion we're trying to do. Gives you the passion to support. And number three, continued connections with the family. All right. What I mean by continued connections is a lot of times you're only looking at where you are with your team, but we talk about we're trying to develop a cultural program. So with past players, you know, players that already graduated, we want to make sure that we're supporting them if they go on to college, whether it's football or not, whether they go into the workforce. Hey, are you having the tools to succeed? Let's check on you. Are you a dad now? Are you a husband? What type of dad are you to your son? What type of husband are you to your wife? All right, are you breaking a cycle that may need to be broken? Are you doing a better job than what was done with you? That kind of stuff, because we're trying to develop the whole. So those would be the three best things, Joe. Our leadership program, the ownership for coaches and players, and the continued connections that we are trying to do, and even with past players, community members, and the administration. They all have to be on the same page.
Give us one example of your ownership piece, just with players or coaches. Just give me one easy example.
All right, in the zero block that we've been doing and we discussed about, I lead it, and it's Mondays. What we do Mondays and Wednesdays. Same Monday, where the word of the day is trust. All right, so I will do this. I'll lead the example, and we'll talk about trust and all that. But on Tuesdays, we'll break up into small groups. And when we break up into small groups, basically, let's say our offensive line coach, he'll take all the offensive linemen in, and he himself will be re-implementing what we just talked about in the small group. And then our players will come back and go back and forth in the small group. So it gives them that type of stuff to do. Also, something that we haven't talked about is when the very first thing we do in that character education program is I do goal sheets. I do academic goal sheets. I do athletic goal sheets, but I also do personal goal sheets. And in that sheet, the players will fill those out. And then the players that have been with me from the year before will also fill out a little survey about what they liked about the program, what they would like us to do better in the program. And we'll get it from their vision and their eyes. So we give them the tools to give us the feedback. We give us the tools by allowing them to tell us their goals and where they want to be, both personal and team goals, on more than just the game of football. And it gets them to think. So it allows us in the small groups to really get to know our players, and then our players get to know us, and it allows the players to start shooting over. Now, the players that are older, our seniors that are comfortable, they will also get up on a Monday and Wednesday in the big group, and they will actually share a little bit. We had a kid named Caleb Cook and Amarion Whitfield, Anthony Mountain. They will get up and they will actually start talking about not just in the small. Some of them will just do it in small group because they're a little bit nervous, but the ones that have been in the program and understand what we're trying to do will do it there in a meeting. And Joe, man, it is exciting to see what happens when they take it to to the field, and then they bring it out there. And it's even more exciting when you see them do it in the classroom. It's even more exciting when you see them doing it after they graduate.
That's awesome, man. I can. How many years are you in right now at Brunswick?
This is I'm going into my fourth year. Going into my fourth year, and we're about to make a huge change. I really feel it. We last year we made the second round of the playoffs. First time Brunswick's done that since 1999. It's the first time Brunswick's been in the second round of the playoffs since then. And I really think we have a team that's just going to get better and better, Joe.
Well, just judging from you, I agree. All right. Question number 4. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you first got started?
This is really, touches close to home right now because of what's been going on. With the Ahmaud Arbery stuff, that's a former Brunswick player, and how this, community was hurt by that. But the value and diversity amongst our coaching staff, that's something. When I was a younger coach, I didn't see the value of that as much. And what I mean by that is, you look, and you're always want to hire the best coach, period. But you have to have diversity in your staff. You really do, because it leads to so many other things. It leads to so many other connections. And that's what this thing's about, Joe. It's about connecting with one another. And you always preach that as a coach to your players. But what is equally important, or even more important, Joe, is from coach to coach. You have to have that camaraderie. You have to have that connection. And I think it's very important that you have a diversity, because it gives you different viewpoints on different things. And then when you have that diversity, it cannot just be a working relationship. Remember, the number one thing we talk about, all about the family. All right, that's what our culture is what we do. So when you look at us, you're not going to see a staff where we just get together, we work, and then this little group goes over here and this little group goes over there, where there's offense over here, defense over here, minority coaches over here. And, it's not that way with us. With us, it's a blend. It's a blended family, and we are culturally diverse. You look at our staff. I got my defensive coordinators from Philadelphia. I'm from Florida, right? And then I got a guy on my staff that is from Brantley County. That if you're familiar with Brantley County, you know how it is over there. He's from there. I got some coaches that are here from Brunswick. I mean, we are spread all over the place. And the way we get together is we'll do things, Joe, like we have a Bible study. All right. We have cookouts with the family, where we bring the families in and do that. Matter of fact, one of the things we're doing right now is called Thirsty Thursdays. And I didn't come up with this. This is my staff has actually come up with this. And on Thursdays, they'll rotate to each other's houses, and they'll get together, and they'll have a cookout or bring their own drinks and just talk, man. It's excellent. The Bible studies that we do those in the mornings. On Friday morning, see our 0 block that we do. We try to develop our kids. We do that Monday through Thursday. On Friday, the kids don't come in. It's just our coaches. We sit down and we call it a Bible study, because it is Bible verse led. But we'll get into different things. We'll get into what makes us tick, what makes us work, why we think the way we think. And we do that, and it's just like in the sense of a Bible study, because it really lets you open up emotionally, Joe. And when you are close enough as a staff to open up emotionally, and you become that family, you're not going to let each other down. So everyone's going to do their job to the best of their ability. We're going to work hard. We're going to look after each other's family, and that is something that diversity in the coaches, that it's huge, and how you go about cultivating that connection. I didn't know the value of that as a young coach.
That's awesome, man. I know you're taking them to play golf today.
That's today. Yeah, we're doing a little golf outing. Absolutely.
All right, man. This has been fantastic. I'm glad. I thought about it when you're doing your introduction. It's been 7 years since I've seen you, and we ran into each other at a clinic, and it's good to catch up, and it's good to see this side of you. Best contact information. Are you on Twitter? How if coaches want to get up with you, what's the best way?
I am on Twitter, and but if you look at Brunswick High football, we have a little Twitter page there. I am on Facebook. They message me that way. My email address, which it's Sean.Pender, SEAN .PENDER at Glenn GLYNN.K12.GA.US. That's my email. But yeah, look me up on Twitter or Facebook. I'm not the best with social media, but I do know enough to get back with you, from that. So
What's your
yeah,
what's the Twitter handle again?
oh, just look up like when you do Brunswick High School football. I know I have a Twitter too, but I don't even know what it is. Be honest with you, but my wife set it up for me.
All
But
right, so the best Twitter is Brunswick High School Football.
yeah, just look at that and you'll see it. And then one of my staff members always is on it constantly. He's always adding and putting stuff on. So make sure you follow that. And we always have some good stuff on that as well, Joe.
All right, anything you want to promote besides that Brunswick High football Twitter? Anything else? Man, you did a great job. Very impressive and great job. I know with you guys have experienced some tragedy because of your former player and what the world's going through right now. But man, it looks like you're right on top of it and been on top of it from growing up all the way to now. So you're the perfect guy in the perfect situation.
Just touching on that just a little bit more because, I have two coaches on my staff that actually coached a young man, that was gunned down, and also one of my coaches on my staff also, he also played with him, too, and so there's a really huge connection there, and you're looking at I heard this saying before, and I didn't like what I heard. It was talking about Brunswick being a broken community, and Brunswick is not a broken community. If anything, you're seeing Brunswick becoming stronger and more united through this tragedy. You look at the United States and you see how like some of the stuff that's going on with the violent aspect of everything, the violence that's happening, and then the turnaround and the reactions, another violent thing, and two wrongs don't make a right, that type of thing. And we're looking. One thing that I really see our community starting to do is they're learning how to get the points across that they need to get across in a positive mode in the teaching. Remember we talked about earlier with the program we're doing, it's about giving the tools to make sure you're successful. And off the air when we were talking too, we talked about the difference between something that's motivational and something that's empowering. And that is, sometimes you'll get something like this that's going on and a lot of the emotions are involved. And when your emotions are involved, it's motivational in the beginning and then it kind of fades away if you don't have the tools to keep it successful. And what I'm really seeing this community doing is reaching out to people that understand the right way to protest instead of the wrong way to protest. And they're looking, this is something that, Willie Bolden, he's one of my coaches. I sat down and we were talking back and forth with him and he was telling me, different things. I wish I had my little notepad right in front of me. Matter of fact, I do, of the stuff that Willie was talking about. And they're doing these different podcasts. Matter of fact, today at 6:30 p.m., there's something called the Frontline Academy by the Blue Institute. That's going to be on, it's June 3rd, and they're doing another one on June the 10th. Basically, the president of the NAACP in Georgia is started to like a movement about raising the youth to learn more about politics and learn more about things to have more of a representation, throughout the state. And then they do like these breakout sessions. They'll last the whole podcast, or it'll last about, or the meeting will last about an hour, hour and a half. The small groups are like 10 to 12 people. And I'm really looking forward to getting in and hearing some of the things that they're saying. But that was just one of the things that Willie was saying about what our community is trying to do to make sure stuff like this don't happen anymore. And of course, there's a right way to do it, and there's a wrong way to do it. And hopefully we will start doing it the right way, and start doing what we need to do to really promote that humanity, in us. It's another reason I think the stuff that we're doing needs to start being taught in the schools again. If you notice, they took so much out of schools that are so important to have. When they took prayer out of school, that's a huge issue. Whether you prayed or just in a moment of silence or whatever it is, taking it where they take character education and basic character education is not taught anymore. It needs to be taught. It needs to be back in the schools. And there's so many avenues and there's so many things to deal with. Mark Rick was doing something back when he was at Georgia with the character education program that was really good. And it was starting to take off for a little bit, but then kind of fused away. And then growing leaders, Tim Elmore. I'm big on that, about how we can connect to today's kids. So much as adults, we try to get the kids to try to connect to us instead of us connecting to them. And that's something with this group. We're, as teachers, we're really facilitators. Kids don't need adults anymore to get information. They get information from wherever they want to get it from. So just those type of avenues. I mean, I know, I'm sorry, Joe, I could talk all day.
I loved it. I go on about the same, that back in the day, the teachers taught character ed, but today with testing, they're stressed out, man. I'm married to a teacher. She's worried about test scores, and they don't have the time to teach character ed like they used to, but coaches do, and it's on
Exactly.
us. It's on us to build winners for life. And man, it sounds like Brunswick's got the right guy in the right place at the right time, and you did fantastic. And I thank you so much for being on this thing. Coaches, I thank you for watching. And Sean, this will be on in about 5 Saturdays. Unfortunately, we're backlogged on this thing, but I will text you when this thing gets ready to go. It'll be on YouTube, and it'll be on Spotify and all those podcast type outlets. But thank you so much, buddy, and good seeing you again.
Oh, great seeing you, Joe. Take care, man. Thanks for having me on.